Hey everyone, welcome back. It's the Goat here with a recommendation. This is one of the games I've been playing recently, Shinobi, The Art of Vengeance. So this is a relatively new Sega game. Came out just the end of last month, and it's based on the old 2D platforming games like Shinobi 3, which was originally a Mega Drive game way back in the day. So you've got an updated version of a combat engine where you can fight things with loads of different moves, loads of different skills you can unlock as you go, which is really, really cool. And it's blended in with the traditional elements, things like the 2D platforming. So you'll have to run around, fight the bad guys, make crazy jumps, get yourself across different chasms, solve puzzles. It's a lot like some of the newer 2D games, like the recent Prince of Persia, like Hollow Knight. You'll find some of the more traditional elements, things like exploration being rewarded with secrets, but it's a little different. Instead of a sprawling mass open world environment, the game's been split up into different levels, and each level is pretty different to the one before it. So this one starts off with like tanks coming in. This level's a little different. It's going to start you off by jumping out of the back of an aeroplane, but really all of the different levels, they still have those kind of like Castlevania elements to them where you'll need to come back later on with different skills and powers that you've unlocked throughout the way. You're going to get a chance to ride on the back of a dog. You'll be chasing some giant kaiju monster one minute, and then the next it'll be something totally different, like these pagodas. And even though there's a lot of different levels with a lot of different themes, you'll find that all of the backgrounds are a little busy. There's things going on in the background of here. You can see shadows walking through the windows. You move into the construction zone. There's flags. There's rags blowing in the wind. You can go to a dockyard where you'll have some nice weather effects going on in the background. There'll be cranes moving, shipping containers about. There'll be plenty of things to see and do. And as you explore your levels as well, you'll come across different things to do. So here, this is an elite encounter. So this is kind of like a big group of hard enemies that you can fight. It's an optional encounter, which just means you don't really have to fight these enemies if you don't want to. But like any of these types of games, you'll know that the best loot is always tied to conquering these optional challenges. So this particular challenge, these elite ones, they're split usually into 3 encounters across a level. So you'll have to root out 3 different little skulls with the swords in, hit them, and start the encounter, and then you'll unlock something at the end. So we've completed this one, and at the end it's going to show us here what you can win if you get all 3, which in this case is explosive kunai. Sometimes it's a health upgrade, sometimes it's a kunai upgrade, magic upgrade, a new magic type, loads of different things. But as well as these types of secrets, there's these ones here, which is doing Death's challenges. These are to collect the dark fragments, which will unlock a better sword. And each one of these challenges, again, it offers something a little different. So the one I've filmed here is a race away from some fire, so a bit of a traditional 2D element, where you're being chased by fire from a direction, either left, right, up or down, and you have to try and outrace it to the end of the level before it reaches you, or you'll just face certain death. There's different types of challenges that Death will do, where it might be something more like a Super Meat Boy level, where you're jumping over spikes and having to get the right jumps, combining your moves together to get through it. And then when you reach the end, you're always rewarded with a piece of the Dark Katana. But like all of these kind of platforming games, it's not just about a couple of enemies, it's not just about platforming or the challenges that you're going to face from Death to get through these crazy parkour levels. There's rich and varied boss fights throughout the game as well, so most levels typically end with a boss fight of sorts, some more spectacular than others. Some of them will be the bosses you might have encountered in earlier levels that have come back again harder, with extra moves that do crazy things, like this guy's throwing his sword at me whilst I'm having to dodge his crazy lightning stuff. The previous boss I was showing you there, they were cloning themselves, and they were coming at you like some sort of character from Naruto with, Shadow Clone Jutsu or something like that. And it's just, it's interesting, because you're going to get your own Jutsu-based techniques to help you, right? So you're a ninja, you've got ninja magic. And in this case, I'm using it to heal myself because I've taken a few licks from the boss. I just wasn't paying attention to what that red sword was doing at the time. And that's okay, because I could heal myself. But it's not just about healing yourself. There's different magic to attack the enemies, to break their armor, to build up the execution bars, and it's all really super duper useful stuff, and it's really, really cool with their own independent animations. Overall, I found the game to be wonderfully animated, really super duper challenging. You know, it builds up the challenge quite nicely, so it doesn't start off with these kind of levels where it's definitely like Super Meat Boy crossed with, I don't know, the stuff of your nightmares. It's really challenging. It's really nice to see that the level designers are still doing the work that they did way back in the day, where the levels would be tricky and challenging, but ultimately rewarding. So you figure out how to get past a certain section, and it's really down to things like your timing, a little bit of patience, a little bit of perseverance, and then you'll find your way to your treasure at the end. I've really had a lot of fun playing this game. It's reminded me of the old style 2D era from Sega, which was kind of the start of my gaming journey in life in the first place. So for me, this has really been quite nostalgic to go through and play a game like this. But more than that, it's been nice to go back and revisit these games of my youth that have been updated with modern gameplay elements. So the jumping and the mobility is absolutely fantastic. You know, you can pull off crazy jumps. Yeah, you can you can see this section I'm playing through here. This is absolutely bonkers. So I'm having to stick to walls, hang from ceilings, jump, dash. I can't touch the floor. It's all made out of spikes. And then, you know, you get to the end, and then you're hit with a massive mob of enemies to battle through, and you're using a really nice fluid combat system that just didn't exist back in my day. You know, you had maybe one attack button, and you had 2 or 3 different animations where you sort it. And here you've got, you know, combinations for days which you can blend seamlessly into crazy ninja magic, and ultimately all of this just makes you feel like an absolute badass ninja. And, you know, the combat's so fluid, it's so dynamic, it's so changeable, and you can really feel like it responds to your button presses. Combined with the platforming, it's just a great little game, and it won't take you forever to complete. So I would say, if you're looking for something to play, pick this up, you won't regret it.